But that was not the case of Obinna. Obinna was a handsome young man from Ukpa village and he was determined to be with Atuma. Despite everything he has heard about her, he did not care. He journeyed to Atuma's village and he was lucky to meet her along the road. They had a very long talk and eventually became friends. That was how Obinna started visiting Atuma frequently and they fell in love.
Atuma, I love you so much and I will do everything to be with you. I promise I will look for a solution and you will be free again.
I love you too, Obinna.
And Obinna truly kept his promise. He journeyed to a distant village and he met with a very powerful Dibia. The Dibia gave him a very strong charm with instructions.
Tell her to always put this under her clothes whenever she's going out, and she will never have the urge to steal again.
So Obinna thanked the Dibia and he journeyed back to Atuma's village. He gave her the charm and Atuma went back home. As she sat in her room, she looked at the charm, wondering if it would work. So she decided to give it a try and she went to the market. To her surprise, she didn't have any urge to steal. She was so happy. Even the villagers were so shocked.
The thief did not steal today, oh. We thank the gods, so.
As Atuma returned back home, she looked at the charm, smiling. When Obinna came the next day, she gave him the good news.
My love, it worked. Thank you so much. What would I have done without you? I love you.
I love you too, and I'm so happy it worked. My love, please, I want to beg you. Can I meet your father now? I want to see this beautiful face every day. I can't wait to marry you. Please, my love, let me meet your father.
So Atuma accepted and she informed her father that night. Her father was so happy. The following day, he informed his elder brother Uncle Koboko. They both fixed a date and invited Obinna and his people. Atuma and Obinna had a very quiet traditional marriage. They knelt down and received blessings from both families. Despite how quiet the traditional marriage was, some village gossips still found out about it.
So that thief is getting married before us. But I heard she no longer steals now. My mother was at the market the other day. Atuma came there. She didn't steal anything. I beg, once a thief, always a thief.
Atuma journeyed with her husband to his village that night and they started living together. Every evening they would sit outside eating, gisting and drinking. But few days later, Atuma started having strange dreams. Every night, she would see her father's brother, Uncle Koboko, laying beside her, touching her and trying to do funny things to her. Atuma did not understand the dream and she kept it to herself. But the dream continued. This time, as she laid in the house one hot afternoon, she saw Uncle Koboko looking at her angrily. She quickly woke up and ran outside. She informed her husband, but Obinna told her not to worry, that it was only a dream. The next day, Obinna and Atuma went to the market to buy things. As they walked around, they saw a very big fabric store. Atuma admired the fabric and Obinna wanted to buy it for her, but at the moment he didn't have enough money. So when they got back home, he gave her some money and told her to go back and pick it up for herself. She thanked her husband and walked back to the market. As she approached the fabric store, she felt a strong urge to steal. She tried to hold herself, but the urge was so strong. Atuma sneaked into the store and grabbed the fabric. The owner of the shop shouted. She raised alarm and people started chasing Atuma. They eventually caught her. They beat her up, disgraced her and sent her home. When she got home that evening, her husband Obinna was so sad. He sat outside thinking and wondering what could have gone wrong. The next day, Atuma was still crying and Obinna consoled her. He told her that everything would be okay. He also convinced her to follow him to another village to meet a very strong Dibia. Atuma accepted and together they journeyed to see the great Dibia. The moment the great Dibia set his eyes on Atuma, he revealed everything to them.
I know why you are both here. The problem is your uncle Koboko. He has a doll in his house that represents you, Atuma. Every night, he lays with the doll and commands the doll to do whatever he wants. If you want your problem to end, go to his house, take a strand of his hair and the doll, burn it down, and that will be the end of your problem.
Atuma and Obinna were so shocked. They thanked the great Dibia and they journeyed back home. They got back that evening, and at midnight, Atuma journeyed to her own village, just like the great Dibia had instructed her to go alone. As she approached her uncle's hut, her heart was pounding in fear, but she summoned the courage, and with the help of the gods, she took the doll and a strand of his hair, and Atuma started running as fast as she could to her father's house. When she got there, she informed her parents, and they were so shocked. Together, they burnt down the doll and the strand of hair. 30 minutes later, Uncle Koboko woke up. He was so scared when he woke up and couldn't find the doll. He knew someone was going to expose him. He started roaming around in confusion. But at the break of dawn, he had no option but to confess in front of the entire village. The whole village spat on him and cursed him. They all dragged him and threw him into the evil forest. Atuma returned back to her husband's village, and they started living happily. They also organized a big feast. They invited people from both villages. They all ate and rejoiced. Atuma and Obinna lived happily, and they bore so many children.